Pokemon reprints are always such a hot topic in the Pokemon community. It's something people talk about all the time. What's coming? What's not coming? Is this a rumor? Is this actually true? And it's been a big deal for a long time because booster boxes have been so difficult to get a hold of. If you remember correctly, during the pandemic, Pokemon started doing something they call allocations, where they start contacting LGS's online storefronts directly and saying, hey, here's how much product Pokemon is giving us for this new set. For example, Obsidian Flames, which comes out in a couple weeks here. They would contact us and say, hey, here's how much Obsidian Flames we're getting. We have this much to be able to give to all of our storefronts that we service. So this is what we are willing to give you. We will give you X amount of booster boxes. If you're a big storefront, you might get a couple thousand. If you're a small storefront, you might get a couple hundred. But somewhere in there, somewhere in those two numbers is what is going to be offered to you. And then as a storefront, you can either accept or you can decline and say, well, you know what? Things haven't been going so well with the Scarlet and Violet generation. I don't know what I'm going to do with 1,000 booster boxes because only probably 400 or so are going to sell. So I really only want 400 of them because I don't want to have to deal with all those extra boxes that I'm not able to sell at a profit. Otherwise, I'm going to have to close my door. And after Obsidian Flames, we've got Pokemon 151 in English. We've got the new set that's coming out in November, Paradox Rift or whatever it's called. So I really need to be conservative and save some money moving forward because there's going to be a lot of invoices that are coming up. And then that might impact your allocations moving forward. And it might not matter because honestly, Pokemon is in such a different spot. But during the pandemic, storefronts could not get enough booster boxes to hold in stock. Evolving Skies, Chilling Reign, Battle Styles, even when it first initially came out, and then moving forward after that, there was still a lot of issues. Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, and Silver Tempest, where you would get, your allocated amount, but you could really sell 75-80% of that in pre-order, and you wouldn't have a whole lot of stock left that you would then be able to move to keep people coming back to your storefront. Or if you're an online store, once you run out of those booster boxes, there's really no drive for a lot of customers to keep coming back. And as a storefront, you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? I guess I'll go to distribution and I'll see what they have available, and they have nothing as far as booster boxes go. And that's what's different now than how things used to be during pre-pandemic. They would have Burning Shadows, they would have Evolutions, they would have tons of booster boxes going back a couple of years because Pokemon printed enough that they would be able to have a backlog of stock where distributors could reach out to Pokemon and say, hey, I need a pallet of Burning Shadows booster boxes because I'm basically out. Nowadays, Pokemon pretty much prints everything and then ships it out to different companies and different distribution centers, and that's all there is until Pokemon announces there's going to be another wave or there's going to be a reprint of a product. And here we are, after no reprints for a very long time and a lot of speculation on whether or not Pokemon would even reprint any of the Sword and Shield sets, and things are different now because they promised us that if they did reprint Sword and Shield sets, the MSRP would stay the same as what it used to be, not the new MSRP price of the $162 that they're charging for a booster box of Scarlet and Violet, Paldea Evolved, and soon to be Obsidian Flames. They would go back to the old booster box price for sets like Lost Origin and Silver Tempest. So now they announced this reprint, which we talked about several weeks ago. Those began shipping out last week, and now is really an interesting time to be involved in Pokemon and look at the Pokemon Pokemon TCG from a collecting aspect, because now a lot of distribution companies are in a situation where they're like, okay, well, we have these booster boxes that we're getting in, but we have a lot of product that's just not selling. Battle Academies, a lot of Pokemon Go items. Pokemon Go was not the set I think Pokemon hoped that it was going to be. So a lot of those Dragonite V-Star collection boxes, a lot of Executor pin collection boxes, a lot of Pokemon Go that's just kind of sitting there. A lot of build and battle stadiums, all these ancillary products that we talk about that aren't booster boxes are kind of just sitting at distribution because a lot of collectors want that feel of like a guarantee when it comes to opening booster boxes. They want that sealed product because they know in the long term, sealed rises. Sealed is going to be a better idea to hold on to, whether it be cracking open because you'll get more value out of it or holding on to it long term. And because of that, distribution companies are like, well, do we really want to send out all these booster boxes and hold on to all this stuff that isn't selling, or do we bundle it all together? And because of that, now you have this interesting point where all of a sudden a lot of distribution companies are selling these reprints of Silver Tempest, of Lost Origin, of Scarlet and Violet Base, because that's what a lot of storefronts are getting right now and were shipped last week. But there's a lot of that ancillary product that they want to get rid of as well, so it gets bundled together. It may be offered to you in bundles, but it's also getting offered to storefronts in bundles from distribution, so that way they can get rid of some of this extra product that just isn't moving. And that's interesting because we don't know exactly what's going to happen as far as what kind of price impact it's going to have on the booster box market, on Silver Tempest booster boxes, on Lost Origin booster boxes, and on Scarlet and Violet booster boxes. Because if companies go around and sell them at, race to the bottom, like what we've been talking about, they start selling booster boxes at $100, $105, well, then they've got all this ancillary product that they were forced to take as well that they can't move. So they're not making any money on these invoices. In fact, in a lot of cases, they're losing money because they're not able to move this additional product, or they're just not taking any of these reprints in general, which means a lot of this stuff is going to stay at distribution moving forward, which could right the ship from where it was pre-pandemic time. It's just all very interesting to look at. We're going to talk about the reprints, and we're going to highlight the few big sets that are getting reprinted, that were reprinted, and where you can look, what kind of price point maybe you want to start focusing on. But really now is the time to pay attention if you're trying to collect sets like Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, or even Scarlet and Violet Base, because those are the ones that are kind of really being impacted by these reprints quite a bit. So I'm going to flip you guys around so you can see what the heck I am talking about, because right now I'm just kind of babbling. But we've got Lost Origin that's coming out. Here's Smoke and Mirrors. This is an online store that you can buy products from. A lot of times they have very good deals. Huge shout out to Smoke and Mirrors. I don't think I've ever really purchased anything from them. I don't know if I've ever purchased anything from them before, but I see great things all over Twitter, all over different content sites about how wonderful they are, how good their prices are, things like that. So if you haven't added them to your arsenal of stores to support or look at, definitely one to check out. But they have booster boxes of Lost Origin right now in stock for $135. You can't, I think that the Lost Origin booster boxes are still sold out on the Pokemon Center website, but you can buy them for $135 right now on Smoke and Mirror. Troll and Toad, another very popular website. They have the reprint. Don't get this one. This is the Troll Live one right here. That's where they break it open for you. If you want a sealed booster box, they have it in stock for $119.99. Now, I don't think they offer free shipping when it comes to sealed products. So $119.99 plus whatever it's going to cost them to ship you the product. So definitely something to pay attention to. But obviously, prices starting to go down, and that's what we're going to look at in this slideshow. I do want to remind everybody, if you want to be entered to win a Pokemon 151 booster box, we are giving one away every single Friday. So we're calling it Pokemon 150 Fun Day. If you want to be entered to win this bad boy, go back, watch the video I just posted a couple of days ago. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment on that video. So every Friday there's going to be a new video where we give one of these away, and then start a new giveaway period for a week. And then every Friday we give another box away. So just hit that subscribe button down below. Go back, leave a like and a comment on Friday's video. Come back this Friday to see if you are a winner. But here's Lost Origin. We're looking at basically a year's worth of data here. Lost Origin came out right around August of last year, so a lot of these prices right here where the market was trying to establish itself was really more pre-order process right here. Really what we're looking at here is the dip and then the rise when Lost Origin came out. Lost Origin's a beautiful set, one of my favorite sets from the entirety of the Sword and Shield block, mostly because of the trainer gallery. Not a whole lot of expensive cards in this set anymore, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Not a whole lot of chase cards anymore, but still beautiful art. The Rotom, I don't care how cheap that card gets. I wish it would get cheaper because that card is absolutely stunning. I love all the different variants of Rotoms, all of the different appliances that are all over the card. It just looks so beautiful. And then the trainer gallery card or trainer gallery subset in general, Chandelure being my favorite Pokemon, having a TG Chandelure is so gorgeous. I have like 200 copies of that card because it's so beautiful. I love the fact that it's so cheap, but really there's so many great cards in the trainer gallery because you have Pikachu V, you have Pikachu VMAX, you have Charizard, you have all these great cards. But if you look at the booster box, because of that and because of the demand and the hunt for that Giratina V alternate art, which a lot of people love, you can see what's happened over booster boxes over the past year-ish. You can see in October of 2022, this was sitting at a one-year low of 98.53. That was right around the time where Silver Tempest released, but after that, booster boxes became a little bit more in demand. They were a little bit more scarce, and a lot of people thought, well, now we're transitioning over to Scarlet and Violet. Are they going to reprint any of these sets from Sword and Shield, or should I really be starting to stock up on some sealed product moving forward so that way I can build that into my collection arsenal? And you can see Lost Origin was impacted big time. It jumped all the way up to 169.17 in May of of 2023. That's when really we started getting information about this reprint coming, and then it backed off. And you can see it's dropped now to 137.01, which is below MSRP, but it's continuing to fall down. I looked again this morning. I made this slideshow a couple days ago, looked again this morning, and the market price was down to about 135. And this is something that you really want to start paying attention to over the next week or so, because I do think booster boxes are going to be coming down even further, especially when it comes to Lost Origin. And since it's coupled at a time where we have all these other invoices that need to be paid moving forward, you might be able to get a decent deal on that. Here's the Giratina V. This is the alternate art chase card from Lost Origin. I pulled quite a few of these when we opened up Lost Origin, did our big opening and things like that, so that way we had product available for pre-order when it came to singles. After that, haven't really found any of it, but you can see it pre-ordering for about $250, $260, and then falling down closer to that $200 price point. $216.69 is where it hit in October, right around the time Silver Tempest released, and then really started getting pumped up. You can see a big gain in January where it leveled off then a little bit up until March, and then started going up higher, hit that one-year high of $331.89, but now it's actually backed off quite a bit, and it's lost a decent amount. It's lost about $32 over the past few months here, sitting at $298.16. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this card moving forward. I do expect it to come down even further. We might see it hit about $250 unless the Evolving Skies aspect happens to a card like Giratina V, because Umbreon VMAX, if you remember correctly, as soon as Evolving Skies got reprinted for like the 4th time, demand just went through the roof, and some of those singles really started skyrocketing. We saw Umbreon VMAX hit $600, and it was just all over. But Giratina V, pretty consistent right now over the last few months, so you might see this go down a little bit more, especially as more and more Lost Origin product gets opened. Here's Aerodactyl V, and you can see the exact time when this card all of a sudden became impossible to pull. PokeRev did his huge opening, 2,700 packs, something like that. Could not find Aerodactyl V, and because of that, people assumed, well, this card's impossible to find. It's also absolutely stunning because the artwork on this card is beautiful. So a card that's really hard to pull, stunning artwork, obviously it's going to be in demand, and it did end up jumping up in price like crazy. You can see it going from basically $80 right away, opening weekend, and then shot up like crazy to $144.80 within the span of a couple days. That's why you have that giant jump right there. It's been relatively consistent over the past 8 months or so. However, it has lost about $41 worth of value. You can see $103.43 is where it's sitting right now. So wouldn't surprise me if we saw a sub $100 Aerodactyl V in the next few days, in the next couple of weeks. Here's Pikachu VMAX. This was a really cool card from the trainer gallery. It still is a really cool card, but also a very hyped card. You can see how expensive it was during pre-order, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on its height about a month after the set released. That's where it kind of hit its one-year high that was actually stable and consistent without pre-order prices really impacting things. It was selling for about $56.27. Went down a little bit and leveled out a little bit and then started rising a little bit. You can see in March of 2023 it getting back to that $56 mark, but now it's actually dropped quite a bit. It's lost about 30% of value. It's sitting at $36.37 currently, which is just above its one-year low, or its low point of $36.34, which it actually hit a couple of weeks ago. Here's the Silver Tempest booster box. This is the other set that kind of got reprinted. Went through a huge reprint process over the past few weeks here, so these are arriving at a lot of LGSs as long as they ordered booster boxes, and they might have been bundled with a lot of other stuff. I can't speak for other storefronts. I can only speak for ours, and we had to take a lot of other stuff that doesn't sell in order to get any copies of Silver Tempest booster boxes and Lost Origin booster boxes. Just part of the game, unfortunately. You can see the set released in October of 2022. It was right around $110 at the time. It did drop in January of 2023 to about $100.55. Never established a market price sub 100, and then started going up like crazy because we had that giant craze of, hey, what's going to happen with booster boxes moving forward? January, February, March, it saw some huge gains and then kind of slowed down a little bit in June, or in March, April, and May. Still rose a little bit, but started to slow down a little bit. Got up above MSRP at $146.38, and now over the past few weeks, it is just crashed down to $114.93. You might even be able to find it a little bit lower than that over the next couple weeks. If you're looking for a $110 booster box, Silver Tempest might hit that over the next couple weeks here. You can see it sitting at $114.93 currently, much closer to its one-year low than its one-year high. We've talked about Lugia V. This card is really starting to suffer, and I don't think the reprint is going to do it any favors. You can see the pre-order pricing being insane, so we're not looking at that $400 price point because that was only going to be a few copies that were sold before the set released. We're looking at that price point that was hit in about November, where the set was about a month old. It was at $233.09, but ever since then, it's just been consistently dropping with a little bit more significant drops over the past few months. from 233.09 down to 145.14. That's where it's sitting at currently. So that's a 1-year low, continuing to lose value. Might see it drop down to about 125, 130. Here's Serena. This is actually the second most expensive card in Silver Tempest. So you go from that $145 Lugia card all the way down to a $35 Serena card. So there's a huge gap between the most expensive card and the second most expensive card, selling for $35.42 currently. Was up to about $55 in November of 2022, dropped off a little bit, actually hit a low of $35.42 in February of 2023 before going up a little bit, but for the most part, it's been relatively consistent over the past 4 or 5 months now, sitting at $35.42. And we've got the Rayquaza VMAX. This is the most expensive card from the trainer gallery. This is also the third most expensive card in the set. After this card, it goes down to like Friends and Hisui, which is about $15. The pre-order pricing on this card also pretty astronomical, so we're not looking at that, but this is a little bit more interesting than what we saw from the other trainer gallery cards because this one actually gained some steam after the set release. You can see in October of 2022, it was selling for about $40 and then started going up after the set released to the point in January of 2023 where it hit that high of $49.27, but since then it's backed off quite a bit, trending in the downward direction, sitting at $31.64 currently. You might see this sell for about $20, $25, somewhere around there now that reprints are coming out. Might impact the price point on that quite a bit. Here's Scarlet and Violet Base. This one has taken a huge hit. You can see in March of 2023, not too long after the set came out, it was selling for about $128.70. With that new MSRP price point, I think a lot of people expected this was going to be a box that was going to sell for $120, $130, and that was going to be the new established price point of booster boxes. But basically, wholesale is going to be the new established price of booster boxes because a lot of storefronts can't move these boxes. There's just not a whole lot of interest, and because sites like Amazon and Target and big box retailers had a huge amount of these that they were selling for basically $100. A lot of LGSs had to adjust and hit market price. So because of that, they end up losing maybe $1, maybe $2 on each box of Scarlet and Violet that they sell, or they just have to hold on to them and not recuperate any of those funds to invest into future allocations moving forward. But after March of 2023, the set just tanked. A lot of singles in the set tanked because the pull rates are extremely good in booster boxes. It seems like they're seeded to a point where you're going to expect a certain amount of cards out of each booster box, a certain amount of ultra rares, but you can see it dropping to 95.73 currently. This actually went down even further over the past couple days. When I looked this morning, this was selling for about $94 on TCG Players. So definitely a time to look at Scarlet and Violet. If you buy by the case, you'll even get a better deal, I'm sure. Here's Miriam. This was the Chase card. This was selling for about $100 opening weekend. You can see the pre-order pricing over $200 for this card. But this card became extremely possible to pull for a lot of people, and because of that, the price tanked like crazy. You can see it in March, April of 2023. That's really when the price kind of hit that $75.61 mark, not too long after the set came out, and then continued to go downward from there. It hit $47.31 as its low point a couple weeks ago. Now it's sitting at $47.59, but continuing to trend in the downward direction. Here's Gardevoir EX, a very playable special illustration card from the set. However, playability not helping out. Obviously, the storyline in this card is super cool. The Ralts, the Curlia, and then the Gardevoir EX is really nifty. However, not doing too well in the competitive market because pull rates are a little bit better. But if you look in March of 2023, this was selling for about $48.47. It's lost almost half of that value over the past 4 or 5 months. Continued to trend downward. It's sitting at $25.35 currently, which is a low point for that card. Then we've got the Miraidon EX. This one kind of going the same way. It was selling pre-order pricing for about $130, $140. Opening weekend, it was right around that $100 mark, and then it just faltered like crazy. You can see not too long after the set released, an established market point of $59.32 hit right around the middle of March, and just continued to fall after that, losing almost 3 times its value over the past 4 or 5 months, sitting at $21.03 currently. And then I do have Evolving Skies in here because we have seen Evolving Skies Elite Trainer boxes pop up at storefronts, at big box stores, so definitely keep an eye out at your local Walmart because we knew some more, or a few more Evolving Skies ETBs were going to hit the market. I really don't think there's enough that's going to impact the seal price, but definitely something to look at as we move forward. Here's the ETB. There's 2 different variants of this. You can see it selling for $43.64 in October. That was after a giant reprint of the ETBs. Then it climbed like crazy. It has leveled off a little bit over the past month. It might stay stagnant for the next month or so as more and more people are finding them. It might actually go down a few dollars, but there's not enough ETBs, unfortunately, that I think is really going to impact the market. And obviously demand for Evolving Skies continues to be high. $79.40 was its 1-year one-year high that it hit in May of 2023. Like I said, over the past couple months, it's been pretty stagnant, so it's sitting at $76.23 currently. But like I said, not a whole lot out there that I think is going to impact the market. Umbreon VMAX has started to go backwards a little bit, so definitely a card to look at moving forward, but I don't know how far this card is going to drop. This card just continues to surprise me. You can see it hitting its one-year high in May of 2023, April of 2023, 652.25. So now it's backed off a little bit to the point where it's dropping below $600. So it's lost about $50 in value. Definitely a card to keep an eye on as more ETBs get opened, as more packs get opened. Same thing with the loose booster packs. This one hit $8.62 as a one-year high a few weeks ago in July of 2023. Now it's kind of backed off a little bit where it's sitting at $7.57, but you can see this giant drop in Evolving Skies booster packs when all those Costco tins were being opened. As more packs hit the market, there's going to be an impact on price, but Evolving Skies is one of those sets that a lot of people just like opening, trying to pull those chase cards. So because of that, Evolving Skies booster packs do extremely well, but definitely something to look at moving forward. Those are the reprints that we've had so far. I don't know if there's going to be any more that have been announced. We haven't heard anything about sets like Evolving Skies or Chilling Reign. Those might be done and over with, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. Definitely cards, definitely sets that you want to keep an eye on moving forward to see what happens over the next couple weeks. And then as we move into Obsidian Flames, as we move into the holiday season, you might see some really good deals with all these bundles that a lot of storefronts were forced to take. So definitely keep an eye on some of those Pokemon drops on Twitter. A lot of different companies like to offer sales to unload a lot of this excess inventory. So definitely a time to keep looking at it. I hope you enjoy the content. If you do, hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a long way for the channel. Share the video if you wouldn't mind. That would mean the world to me. But really, all that matters is you guys taking the time to sit here and watch and listen to me ramble on and on about Pokemon. I really appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you again in a couple days. Until then, peace.